So yesterday we started off with Unit 8, which kicks off our geometry unit. We talked about sides and angles yesterday, how to identify them, and what they are. Today we're going to be talking about how we can use the amount of sides and angles in a shape to tell what kind of shape it is. Before we do that though, we have to review what is a side and what is an angle. A side, when we're looking at any polygon, is any unique line, meaning any line that the shape is made up of. So in this square, for example, we have four sides. One line here, a second line here, a third line here, and a fourth line here. Now, what about angles? An angle is any point in which two lines meet. Right there. It's a corner, basically. So if these two lines meet at this point, meaning this point is where we can find the angle. Now, angles can be outside angles that point out, like up here, or inside angles where two points meet, like here. This is only important to notice when a shape is irregular. So there would be multiple sharp angles and one concave angle, or an angle that sinks inside. Lastly, what is a polygon? Well, a polygon is a closed shape with many sides. Pure and simply, a line is not a polygon because a line is not a shape. Okay, now look, how can we identify different polygons? Well, first off, let's start with the easiest one. There is a shape that has 0 sides and 0 angles. Any clues? Any guesses? If you guess a circle, you're right. A circle doesn't have a side because, well, a circle is by itself one big side. And it doesn't have any points where two lines meet, so it doesn't have any angles. So a shape that has 0 sides and 0 angles is a circle. Okay, I've spoken already that you can't have a line as a shape because a line isn't a closed thing. Now, what about if we have two lines? Is that closed? No, it's not. And there's never a point where we can make two lines close. Well, that's not entirely true. You can have a semicircle, and that's technically two lines closing. But for our purpose of polygons, we need at least 3 lines to meet. Do you know what shape this is? Let's see. It's got 1, 2, 3 sides and 1, 2, 3 angles. So this shape is known as a triangle. And it doesn't matter how weird the triangle looks, so long as it has 3 sides, 3 angles, it's a triangle. Now, there are different kinds of triangles. Some are regular, some are irregular. Some of them look really nice. But we'll talk more about those in a future lesson. Move on. What about a shape that has 4 sides and 4 angles? What do we call that? Nope, we don't call it a square. If a shape has 4 sides and 4 angles, there's a special new word that we're going to use. It's called a quadrilateral. For my Spanish-speaking students, you might notice that cuadre looks like cuatro, which is 4 in Spanish. Quadrilateral means 4 sides. Let's count the sides on this square to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and let's see the angles. 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. A square is an example of a quadrilateral. Now, quadrilaterals can take many shapes. You have squares, which are our most common quadrilateral, but you can have other shapes too, like trapezoids, which are irregular. This trapezoid has 2 sides that are pinching in and one side that's bigger than the other. You can also have these strange arrow type things. Don't believe me? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. That's a quadrilateral too. So we need to pay attention to not only how many sides something has or what it looks like, but how many angles. Alright, let's keep going. The next shape we're going to look at is a shape that has 5 sides and 5 angles. Boop, 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 boop. I always have a hard time drawing these. This shape is called a pentagon. Pentagons have 5 sides and 5 angles. Or 5 angles and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. Awesome. Now, can pentagons look weird? Oh yeah, they definitely can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoop. That came up a little too perfect. There we go. That's a pentagon. It's got 5 sides and 5 angles, but it still looks really wonky. 3, 4, 5. So when we want to identify shapes, remember, we look at how many sides and how many angles, because they don't always look the same. The last shape we're going to look at today is a hexagon. Hexagon. Hex means 6. So hexagons have 6 sides and 6 angles. A hexagon, when it's regular, looks kind of like this. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angles. Now, hexagons can definitely look irregular. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that looks like an 8. 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angles. So remember, when we are trying to identify shapes, we need to count the sides and angles. Count the number of sides and angles. And that's it. Once you do that, we can identify any shape that we're given. Now that you've gotten through this, go ahead and give it a try on your own with the class practice.